Hi, I want to talk about manifesting. Most people who are into understanding manifestation by now get that they are master manifestors. And what do I mean by that? That we're manifesting all the time. Everything that we're experiencing is coming through us because of our attention and focus that we have on whatever it is that we're focusing on. So you can pay attention to that. You can really understand that, yeah, the things I'm experiencing are in alignment with what I'm talking about most of the time. And even more importantly, what's my inner dialogue about it? What am I thinking about it? And that's why affirming is a really good thing to use in manifesting, because your thoughts are all over the place. If you listen in to what you're thinking about, more often than not, you're running that conversation that you had that you wish had gone differently. Some kind of experience that you think you could have said something better, or you think you said something dumb, or you did something dumb. How easy it is to say, I'm so stupid. I'm such a geek. I'm such a jerk. All these things. Now, think about that. That's going on inside. So with affirmation, choosing things that you're going to think about because you're affirming them. And if you're affirming them, you're thinking about them. So that's the benefit of affirmation, is that you're not letting your mind just run off the way it usually does. So manifesting, you're doing it all the time. We all are. The question I have for you is, are you good at it? And what do I mean by that? Are you living the life that you truly choose to live? And I mean, when you're really honest with yourself, are your relationships what you would like them to be? Are your finances how you would like them to be? Your health, you know all the categories. You've heard this a million times. What I want to do is keep discussing this with you until I can help you have that light come on. Now, I also want to say that I believe, and all that I'm talking about are things that I believe, right? All the different coaches, that's what they're all doing. When we share what works, it's what we know worked for us. And it generally works for a lot of other people, but there are a lot of different ways to do it, which says logically that different people have different experiences. And so you can have the experience that you wish. You just find the way for yourself. What's the best path for you? I believe the reason that that's true is because we are creative beings, and there's so many different ways to do whatever it is that we're setting out to do. So that's a really beautiful way. That's a really beautiful way to look at this. Even if we end up doing things in ways that aren't that fun, just think about it. As a creative being, there's a part of you that's having fun, right? It's like, oh, look at this experience. It's very different. Now, but the thing is, I go back to the question, are you good at doing it? And good at doing it completely depends on, are you experiencing the outcome that you wish to experience? If you're not, you can. That's the main message that I really want to get through, is you can do this. As a matter of fact, you are doing it. Again, are you doing it well? Is it matching what you want? Or could you use some tweaking? I don't know anybody that hasn't learned to tweak as they go along. I certainly have. So I'm a student. I worked directly with Bob Proctor for many years. I was a student of his, and then I was a coach for him, and then I was a training coordinator for him. So I only say that to say I had a lot of experience with Bob Proctor, and he was amazing. He's an amazing teacher, even now, as his legacy goes on. What I've found, though, is that that is more for people who are dealing in the physical realm. And what do I mean by that? He was all about setting goals and then how do you achieve those goals? And he had action that you would take in order to achieve your goals. Now, I don't know if you know about Neville Goddard, but chances are that you do. So we're going to say Bob Proctor was about doing and believing. And then Neville Goddard has come on the scene, although he passed away in the early 70s. But recently, interestingly enough, he's come on the scene. And Neville always taught about imagination. And interesting to add to that, think of our friend Albert Einstein. And he said, imagination is more important than knowledge. So Bob was about, again, taking a lot of action to achieve what you desire. Neville came along and said, or actually even before Bob, he was saying what he learned was that you do this in your imagination. The physical realm is a mirror of what's going on inside, which takes us back to what I was saying about what I consider the best use of affirmation. It keeps my internal dialogue focused on what I've decided to have instead of letting it just run off like a monkey mind, because you know it will. Everybody's does. However, when you put those two together and you're using affirmations, you're using chosen dialogue to run in your imagination, you begin to see that as you're focused in your imagination, those things are playing out in your life. You can make that connection. You don't have to take anybody's word for it. If you're honest with yourself and you're listening in to what are you talking to yourself about? Yeah, what are you saying out loud is important too. But even more important is what are you saying internally? Because there will always be a match to what you're focused on. And again, mostly by what you're thinking about, what you're mulling over, is what you're seeing in your experiences. So when I used to teach classes in person, people would say to me, well, what about cancer? You know, I experienced cancer and I can tell you I wasn't sitting around thinking about cancer. Well, that's when we get into understanding what we're talking about in like the third phase. So it's Bob, Neville, and then what I'm going to call this third phase, which you're hearing a lot about right now, the I am. And of course, Neville talked about that, but it's had this emergence of awareness of the importance of that and what does it actually mean. So going back to the conversation about somebody saying, well, you know, I didn't focus on cancer, but I experienced it. Who were you being? So it doesn't mean that you were being somebody that said, I think I'm going to get cancer or I'm worried about getting cancer. But you were being somebody, a version of you, it turns out to be, that would get cancer. So what does that mean? It means that maybe you worried a lot. It means that maybe you were constantly criticizing yourself. What is cancer? It's an internal eating away at yourself. Now, you know, I'm not bringing these things up to make anybody feel bad or that you've messed up, made any mistakes. A mistake is just you missed your mark. So mistake doesn't have the connotation, even that, the connotation that we've been taught about a mistake. There's no harm, there's no foul, there's no shame. We're going to miss the mark as we open our awareness, as we learn more and we grow more. We're going to understand more. And getting to that point of understanding, what does I am mean? It means that you are the source. So when you say I am, what are you saying after that? Because you're the source. When you're saying I am, you are now speaking into existence what you say after that. I am a person that things don't work out for. Or I'm a person, everything works out. Everything works out in my favor. Now you might say, oh, Cindy, that's extreme. Nobody has everything work out in their favor. Well, I'm going to challenge you on that, but it's okay for now. You can believe what you want to believe. Just keep opening yourself to receiving more information. But again, if you want to stay in the action realm, I'm going to call it Bob Proctor's way, although there are lots of teachers, you can do that. You can reach your dream life by doing that. You're going to do more work in the physical. You're going to take more action. With Neville Goddard, you're still going to do work. And it's similar in some ways to what I'm calling Bob Proctor's way, but it's more internal. It turns out it doesn't matter so much what you do on the outside as it does what you're doing on the inside. Because if you understand this, you realize that imagination, you're in imagination all the time. If you're not in the moment doing something, you're either imagining it about the past or you're imagining it about the future. And that's what you want to get under control. You want to make conscious choices about what you're imagining. Now, there are many other points to this, but I want to stop there. I want to say to you, again, hear me loud and clear. You can do this. You can live the life that just you bounce out of bed in the morning because you're so excited for your day. And you can choose how you do it. If you don't want to believe that you can create anything from your imagination, then create it from the physical realm. However, if you're ready for the next awareness level, maybe I can say it that way, you can do that too. You can really learn about imagination. But what's really important to understand is first you have a new idea and you play with that idea and you remind yourself about it over and over and over until something awakens in you and you know that you are creating from your imagination. Again, in the physical, you might say, no, I'm creating from all the action that I'm taking. That's fine. If you want to be there, that's fine. If you want to understand and go deeper, you're going to understand that imagination plays a huge, if not total, role in that. And then later we'll talk more about what does it mean, deeply mean, to be I am, to associate, identify. Identify is really the word. Who am I being? I'm being the I am. I'm being the one who knows the words that follow I am are me speaking into my experience what I will experience. And it can be the life of your dreams or it can be the life of your nightmares. You get to decide. So comment below. Let me know what made sense to you and what didn't. And if this is helpful to you, then I ask you to share it because then that means it'll be helpful to someone else. Let's get this conversation. Well, I can't say let's get it going. It's going. Let's have this conversation over and over until you really grasp the power that you have, that you're already using to create your experiences and learn to use it consciously so you're creating experiences that you love. I'm so glad that you listened. Thank you so much. I'll see you soon.